Hello everyone, it's me Josh, welcome to Story Time. We're now going to be reading Mr. Brave by Roger Hargreaves. This sounds like it'll be a really cool story. It's good to be brave, be strong. Let's find out what we might learn and what messages we can take from this story today. Thank you so much for hanging out and reading this story today. If you like these, please subscribe, click that bell below. Get comfortable, get ready wherever you are, because we're about to delve into story time. That's right. This is a story about Mr. Brave. Now, Mr. Brave is not as strong as Mr. Strong. He's not as tall as Mr. Tall. But, as you will soon see, that does not stop him being brave. This story happened last Tuesday, when little Miss Bossy rang Mr. Brave to invite him to tea. "And don't be late," she shouted. Little Miss Bossy. So she's being a bit bossy. "And don't be late," she shouted down the phone. That's Mr. Tall, Mr. Strong, and Mr. Brave there. It was a very stormy day, but Mr. Brave knew that little Miss Bossy's temper was worse. So he set off for little Miss Bossy's house, hurrying along as fast as he could to be sure that he was not late for tea. Don't be late, guy. You got to get there. He's holding on to his hat, braving out the stormy day. Along the way, he heard a cry for help. It was Mr. Messy. He'd been blown into the river by the wind. Mr. Brave did not want to be late for little Miss Bossy, but being the brave fellow he was, he jumped into the river and rescued Mr. Messy. "Oh, thank you," said Mr. Messy. "You're so brave, Mr. Brave." Wet right through, Mr. Brave hurried along on the lane. Suddenly he heard somebody sobbing loudly. Who could it be? It was little Miss Somersault. She was balancing on a tightrope tied between two tall trees. "Oh, Mr. Brave, I'm so lonely," she sobbed. "Nobody will come and play on my tightrope. They're all too frightened of heights." "You're so brave, Mr. Brave," she added. "Won't you come and join me?" For little Miss Somersault. Mr. Brave looked up at little Miss Somersault. He didn't want to be late for little Miss Bossy, but being the brave fellow he was, he took pity on little Miss Somersault and climbed up onto the tightrope. He was looking up like, "Ooh, can I do that?" They chatted away happily for a while until Mr. Brave happened to look down. "Little Miss Somersault, look!" he cried out in panic. "The tightrope was going to snap. We're going to fall. And it's such a long way down. Oh, calamity! Oh, help!" "Be brave, Mr. Brave," said little Miss Somersault. Uh-oh. It'd be scary being on a tightrope and the rope's about to break. And without more ado, she carried him safely back down to the ground. "Oh, thank you," said Mr. Brave, with a sigh of relief. Wow, I wonder how she did that. We'll find out about little Miss Somersault in one of the Little Miss stories, so keep an eye out for that. Little Miss Somersault said goodbye and left Mr. Brave on his own, shaking like a leaf. "I don't deserve to be called Mr. Brave," he said to himself. "I was scared stiff. Thank goodness nobody knows my secret." And nobody does know his secret. Or do they? Looks a little bit scared there. Now little Miss Trouble just happened to be passing, and she had seen and heard everything. And what she had seen and heard had given her an idea. A very naughty idea. She grinned a mischievous grin. Wow, Little Miss Trouble sounds like the Little Miss version of Mr. Mischief, his name is. They both seem a little bit mischievous. "Hey, come here, everybody," she shouted at the top of her voice. "Come and see this." There she is there. Heading down the lane, I guess, to tell everybody this secret about Mr. Brave. Very quickly, a large crowd gathered. "I have an announcement," announced Little Miss Trouble. "Did you know that Mr. Brave isn't brave at all?" "No, it can't be true," said the crowd all together. "It is true," said Little Miss Trouble, "and I'll prove it to you." Uh-oh. It's not very nice what she's saying and doing to Mr. Brave, is it? Nah. "Mr. Brave," she continued, "I dare you to walk across that tightrope." telling him, she's pointing up. Mr. Brave looked up at the tightrope, and all the crowd looked up at the tightrope, and all the crowd looked at Mr. Brave. Mr. Brave suddenly remembered something, a very important something. Just look at the time, she said. I'm going to be late for tea at Little Miss Bossy's. Uh-oh. There's the tightrope. Looks like it's about to snap. Mustache, he cried, and ran off as quickly as possible. Zooming down the lane, with a smile on his face, he's like, yes, don't have to climb over the tightrope that's about to snap. Hooray, cheered the crowd, and they all clapped and applauded Mr. Brave. Little Miss Trouble looked puzzled. Why are you cheering him, she cried. He ran away. He isn't brave at all. Oh, yes, he is, they all shouted. Would you turn up late for tea at Little Miss Bossy's? Little Miss Trouble. That plan didn't work. Good. Trying to not be very nice to Mr. Brave. Little Miss Trouble thought for a moment. Gosh, she said in awe. He is brave after all. Oh, funny. Well, that's Mr. Brave done. Hope you enjoyed the story today. Thanks so much for sitting with me and reading the story. We'll be back again with another story really soon. Is there anything else to add? Nah. Be well, stay happy, have fun, be positive. Bye for now, but not forever. If you like these, please subscribe. Click that bell below. Alright. See ya. Bye.